If you're just joining us, welcome. We're running through the Ordnance Survey app and how it works. We're just going to be planning a short route in Oxford.
I think I'm ready to go on the phone sharing. So I've downloaded the OS Maps. I've got premium. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just close the app and start from fresh. So I'm just loading up Ordnance Survey Maps app onto my phone. It's already loaded into the Leisure Maps layer, but again, I have the same as that I just showed in the computer screen. I've got the different map layers visible just by hitting the button in the bottom right, which sort of looks like a couple of pancakes stacked on one another. That is the button which I'm using to switch between the different map layers. So I guess it's definitely worth just saying that there is the ability to look at routes which have been created by other Ordnance Survey app users, and I'll show you after we've done this demonstration of plotting our own route. Maybe it's worth just going through how you would load in a route which has been created by somebody else who lives in your area. But for now, we're just going to focus on creating our own routes, because really what we're focusing on is during lockdown, getting away from everybody else and having our own time and space. So I'm going to start now I've hit menu in the top left, and I'm going to create a new route. And
so now would be a great time for people to get the app up on their phone if they can, so that we can run through this together.
And I'll decide that this new route I'm going to create is a walking route. Now, the reason why this point is important is because the app is going to help us judge. It's going to record the distance of the route, and it's going to help us judge how we're going to be able to travel through that route and how long that might take us. So it's going to calculate running and cycling will be faster than walking. So we're going to create a walking route. So the first thing I'm going to do, so this is using my iPhone 6. So this whole route creation journey is me tapping my finger on the screen, and that's going to be plotting the route. So every time that you see a new point being added to the map is my finger tapping on my phone. So this arrow that you're seeing is me. This is my GPS location, and the first thing I'm going to do is that's my start point. And so just to zoom out for a second, in terms of thinking where I want to go, I'm going to think that I'm going to head up this hill. Before obviously you plot a route, you want to think about your destination. So what makes for a nice destination, we've always found, is a high point into woodlands, as we discussed earlier. So I'm going to make Hurst Hill. I can see this is roughly 2 to 2.5 kilometers away from my house. So I think this is going to be a reasonable journey to do with what I'd like to do. So now I've decided the destination, I'm going to decide how to get there. So one point that we haven't touched on yet is how I know that this is up a hill, and this is based on the contour lines. So hopefully you guys can see the numbers 147, 135, 125 and 120. This is the altitude measurements of that land, so I can tell that's gonna, if I was to travel from 120 to 147, I'd be going up the hill. Now I know that Oxford is very flat, and I'm currently down at around 50 meters of sea level, which it will tell me in a second. So I'm going to begin the route by taking this path, and I'm going to work my way across the river, taking this route down onto this bridleway, which is through the woodlands, and down to this road here, where I can see there's a church, and if I'm feeling thirsty, there's a pub, but that's unfortunately locked at this point. So I've made a mistake while I've been thinking about the pub, so I need to undo that. And so you can see at the top of the screen, I've got an undo button. So I hit that. And I'm just going to continue plotting this route. So you can see it's not I haven't created this in 100% an accurate way. You can see the lines that I'm doing are quite general, and that it's not like absolutely perfect on the road or on the bridleway, but that's not too much of an issue, to be honest. Once you're out, you'll see why that's not too much of an issue, because it's not. Yeah, I'll explain that when we go through actually using how we use the app when we're out on the trail. So I'm just going to continue plotting my route to go up to Hurst Hill. So I've used, in terms of the routes that I've used so far, I've used a bridleway, and I've used roads, and I've used a permissive path. So at this point, I'm all good. So I'm going to go through Raleigh Park. I'm going up the hill, and at the bottom you'll see, as I'm plotting this route, you'll see that I've started at 55 meters and I'm working my way up to 116 meters, which is the altitude changing as I'm heading up the hill. And it's also calculating my total time taken, which is currently 44 minutes, and also the distance, which is about 3 kilometers at this point. So I've made it up to 158 meters, which in Oxford is an absolute mountain. And it will tell me that I've started at 55 meters, which is at my house, and I've made it to the mountains of Oxford at 158 meters, up to a trig point, which is the blue triangle. And from there, I'm going to head back down again. And so you'll see that the difference between the white and the green on the map is the difference between woodland and I believe it's agricultural land. So it's generally just looks like fields and crops. So I'm at the top of the hill now, and so I'm going to head back down again. And what you'll start to see is the red line at the bottom is going to start heading back down as I head home. So I'm going to take a different route home. And actually, I'm just undoing that. I'm going to go a different route across this footpath through a different way home. Okay, so that is my route. So let me just save this as Oxford Nature Walk. and I've got the ability to give it a description, and the difficulty, and who else can see the route. So I'm going to put that as everyone, actually. So if anyone's living in Oxford and is watching this, that you're welcome to use this route. So I'm going to save this, and now that route is saved and looking like this on my phone. So if we look at the journey, you can see it's starting at 55 meters at my house and going all the way up to 158 and then coming all the way back down. So yeah, before we move on to using that, Hugo, have you got any questions at that point?
So it's great to see how you plotted the route. Why did you choose to go on certain kind of dashed lines for people who aren't aware of kind of the rights access? What made you choose to go on those specific routes?
So I've decided that this is going to be a walk. So I'm going to use bridleways, footpaths, roads, permissive paths, as I like. If I was to be planning a cycle route, I'd be thinking differently. I'd be thinking that I can only really be using, well, I certainly can't be using footpaths. I'd be using roads and bridleways.
Okay, great. And so what would you actually do with this route now you plotted it?
So now I've got this route plotted. If I hit, or what I would normally do is visualize the route on the computer. But before we do that, what I'll do is just show how I would actually use this route. So I mean, realistically, I wouldn't potentially visualize this route on the computer because it's only a simple route. But what I would be definitely doing is hitting follow route in the bottom right corner. But if I want to go out and actually do the walk, but I download the map first so that I've got it in case I run out of signal. So I'd hit that download map text in blue in the bottom left. Once that's downloaded, we're ready to follow that route. So I'm going to just show you what it looks like if I hit follow route. So this is, imagine those who are familiar with using a sat nav for your car. I guess this is the equivalent, but for walking. So now if I twist my phone left and right, you'll see that arrow is me, and the way that my phone is looking is the way that that arrow is going to change. So if I go out my front door and I'm already lost, then I can just turn left or turn right and see which one matches my route journey. And so I can just take my route walking along. It's difficult for me to see me like this because I'm obviously just going to be sat in my living room. But yeah, as I follow the route, I will be able to take it out of my pocket whenever I'm unsure whether to go left or right, and just check with the app that I'm still on route. And obviously if I'm off route, I'll get a little buzz in my pocket to say I'm going off route, or if I'd wanted to just freestyle and I've seen something that looks nice somewhere else, I've seen another hill, or I wonder where a track goes, and I can bring it out and just see where that goes, so I can sort of add elements of freestyle into the route.
So we've got a question from Paul that's just come in asking about the direction of the arrow. So if you hold up your phone, is the front of your phone, if you hold it level, that should be the way that the arrow is pointing?
So yeah, no, that's a good question. The map is always orientated north. So you'll see, it doesn't matter which way I'm moving my phone, and you'll see which way I'm moving my phone by the way the arrow is moving. The map is always orientated north. So that I'm currently looking south.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Perfect. Okay, so I assume also if you click on route info that that'll tell you all the sort of information about how far you've gone and what you expect to come up next.
Absolutely. So I've just clicked route info as you just asked, and this will give me what percentage of the route I've done, what the route journey looks like in terms of altitude, and also whether when the sun's going to be going up and coming down, because that's another thing I need to be considerate of is obviously what light I've got.
And I think it's worth mentioning here, I think Tom kind of briefly went over it, that if you're out on this walk and you decide that, oh, you really like the look of that hill or you want to go check out somewhere else, the app is really useful here because you can see and zoom out and zoom in to where you currently are situated. And compared to other devices out there, it is a bit difficult sometimes to kind of find areas off the beaten track. So this is where the app comes into really its own, is when you want to try to plan whilst you're walking. So is it worth now, Tom, just to kind of go back onto the computer and just have a look at this individual route that you plotted on the computer?
Yeah, sure. So this route that I've just done, so I'll just quickly exit this route that I've just saved, just to show how the devices work together, the computer and the phone app. It all saves to my account. So in my phone app, my personal routes will show Oxford Nature Walk. Now that's the route that I've just created in front of you. So I'm going to exit off the phone and I'll just show now how I can bring up that Oxford Nature Walk route that I've just created also on the computer. So I'm going to finish with the phone app.